What's up, Otakus? Hey, Ron, how you doing, man? uh, yes. So, kind of hop on around this time. I try to go on at 8, but then I'm like looking for books, and it kind of go. But fortunately, I was able to get all the books, and I'm very excited about tonight. In terms of, I think moving forward, what we're going to cover. It's kind of like a project in the works. So we'll kind of cover what that looks like. And so I think we'll have a little bit more consistency week to week. And I'm kind of excited about, you know, what this channel will kind of evolve into. Because I've been really kind of struggling with what to talk about week to week. I usually just kind of, you know, talk about how the week was and then some news stuff. There's really no compelling consistency with what I do. It's just kind of like me going on and just blabbing into the ether. And, guys like Ron, Fanboy, Travis, you know, the regulars just stop by and just kind of check in on me and see what's going on. And it's kind of been that way. Now I want to kind of make it a little bit more interactive, and definitely, I think what I'm going to present week to week is going to be compelling because it's compelling to me. So hopefully, if it's compelling enough for me to want to pursue and share what I'm proposing. I know it's kind of nebulous right now. I'm not like specifically saying what we're gonna do, but we'll get into it. And once we get into it, it'll make sense, and we're gonna try to do it consistently week to week. All right. With that being said, you know, back is just kind of where it's been. I just I don't know, at this point I'm just thinking I have to, this is just my reality moving forward. I don't know if the back's ever gonna feel better. I think I'm at a point where it's like I'm gonna have my good days and then I'm gonna have my bad days. And when I have my good days is when I'm able to kind of rest up, um, get some treatment on it, right? Like a good massage or something. And my bad days are like after work, and kind of like sitting here on Fridays is um, when it's most evident, like I've been working all day or sitting all day, and the stress of that kind of exacerbates everything at the end of the week. I feel great in the morning. So this is the thing, like I have this cadence where I just kind of go to bed earlier. My sleep schedule's just been kind of off. I kind of just, sometimes I just go to bed early. Sometimes I go to bed at my normal time. Sometimes I go to bed late. And it used to be more consistent. But yeah, like last night I went to bed, I want to say around 9-ish. Got up at around 3:30 to go to the restroom, and I could not fall back asleep. So, but I was just lying, resting pretty much all last night. So when I get up in the mornings, especially today, like I was well rested, went in, felt the back felt good. I felt energized, kind of had a lot of energy going in, upbeat. And then right around midday, um, back started hurting. And then it kind of goes kind of downhill from there. So right now, yeah, um, I'm just kind of sitting and dealing. I'm just going to take the brace off because sometimes the brace uh, isn't helping. And sometimes when I take it off, it does just kind of feel good to have it off. So I'm just going to take it off and have some flexibility and lean back a little bit and see. We'll see what happens. I also want to provide another update, and that is, I've been having issues at work, uh, and I try not to let my issues at work spill over onto this channel because this channel is like my safe space. It's my escape from work, from the stressors of life, and that even includes like sometimes my family. Right? It's just my family right now is resting. My wife's doing her thing, and um, these little Friday sessions are just to we have our like individual kind of me time type spaces, and that's what this time is. It's like my wife knows I go on and talk comic books, and she lets me do that because I enjoy it, and I let her know, like it helps me to kind of manage and deal with uh, the stuff I've been dealing with during the week. Um, but I do want to provide an update because um, I believe, work, not everybody has an ideal work situation, I'm sure. But no one should be harassed at work. Um, and that harassment should not be coming from your manager. Uh, you're gonna vex me, huh? No, Ron, man. Thank you. Yeah, it's coming. So, my manager and I have I thought we had a good working relationship. It's never been one where I thought I can't work with this guy and you know, but there were red flags. Um the first of which was, our role in what we do is to serve our clients. And early on, what I learned was this dude does not lead by example. We're told to serve our clients. We're basically there to support whatever needs they have, whatever issues they have, and just be there to listen, be there to uh, escalate issues on their behalf, advocate for them, and then provide a resolution. It might not be the resolution uh, they want every time, but oftentimes, if it were up to me, I would just let them get the resolution they need, right? But we've got policies, we've got guidelines, we have to protect our interests as well. So it's oftentimes something I escalate to my manager, and my manager will escalate to our director, and so forth, right? It's not my decision to be made. But at the same time, uh, I escalate, and in good faith, I'm hoping someone takes a look at the issue and makes a determination or decision. Well, some of the red flags were, again, this dude gets very contentious with members. Like, he'll just flat out argue with them and fight with them and kind of like, raise his voice and kind of shout them down. And I was observing all this, and I'm just like, dude, what are you doing, man? You can't be doing that. But I was thinking it. I wasn't saying it to him because he's my boss. So I was just like, this guy obviously has some. Um, he obviously has some emotional control issues, right? Anger management issues. Um, and he tends to. I think he deals with a lot of anxiety. And he's kind of he's confided in me that he has some you know attention deficit issues. So when we always communicate, he just says what he wants to say. He never listens. That's the other thing, other red flag. It's like yeah, he gets. This is the thing. We both have incentives, but they're different. They're based on different things. But he gets his bonus off of the growth that we do. Okay. Whereas if I close certain things, I get incentives for selling certain products. But overall, he gets just like kudos for everything the our team produces. Um, right, Ron, I couldn't have said it better. Right, it's about taking care of your people. Because if you take care of them, they'll do everything to make you look good, right? They'll go out of their way because we our entire team is driven. We were motivated. Um, and what can motivate us is like great leadership, right? If you lead by example, if you don't put too much pressure, but give us enough, you know, leeway to be productive, right? Um, it oftentimes will manifest itself. Um, yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that the human resources part. Um, so anyway, so he gets emotional. He kind of flies off the handle sometimes. So he's done it to our clients. He's done it to me. He's done it to my colleagues. Uh, but it's not like common enough for it to be, you know, an issue. It's just here and there. The rest of the time, he's very friendly. He's always kind of cracking jokes, and um, sometimes the jokes kind of cross the line. They border on inappropriate. Um, and Anyway, it's like I was on his side, and so I never it bother me too much, because I love a good joke. I love kind of uh, being as crass as the rest of them, right? So it's all fun and good, if it's um, again not crossing lines and not offending anybody, and everybody kind of understands, right? That it's a joke. Um, But yeah, again, we've had arguments. And it's really kind of one way. Like I do push back when he's like trying to communicate certain things, and I do push back because again, I'm advocating for our clients. So in in that in that vein, I always give sort of like the pushback on like, well, what if our member has this issue? What if our member comes to us like this? And he always kind of gives me the impression like, no, I won't approve that. No, I won't. You know, we have this guideline, we have this policy. I won't approve it. And I'm kind of like, well, you really should be escalate. It's not your decision to make, right? But like, if there's an issue, if there's something there, it's not your issue to call. It's like you and I both have to escalate it, right? There are certain situations where I can shut it down, or I guess he feels like he could shut it down. But this is where I kind of have an issue. It's like I'm bringing him something that I feel like needs to be escalated and resolved for the member because the member has a good relationship with us, and he'll just be like, no, no, there's nothing we can do, and that frustrates me. And so whenever I challenge him and push back, he again gets kind of emotional and no, I said no, this is what, and he's done it in front of people, and that's what is unfortunate. It's like you kind of like basically he's communicating like, don't challenge me, don't, my if I say something, that's the way it goes, kind of thing. And yeah, um, over time, I've learned to just kind of just listen and just nod and say, yeah, okay, Um, and yeah, like I've been working with him now for quite some time, and I just realized like he's not a good manager. Um, it's his first time managing, and he tries his hardest, but um, and I think part of it is he gets a lot of pressure from his direct supervisor. Um, and it's a performance type, pressure. So he's always on us, uh, me and my other colleagues, to be doing more, like being more efficient, being like not kind of lounging around having conversations or, like just being kind of focused and doing more than we've been doing, even though we're performing well, like just doing more all the time. And this dude is constantly looking at his phone, constantly like taking long bathroom breaks and like doing everything he needs to do and just not leading by example, right? He's probably the least productive, um, trying to delegate as much and do as little as he possibly can. Dude's always late. He's telling us to be on time. He's always late. He really is like you're a horrible boss, right? And again, things came to a head because again, I injured myself. I came back to work, and he kind of does this whole spiel like, "Hey, do what you got to do. I'm here to support all this BS." And then he tells this joke where a member, I guess, on a call or something, had mentioned he had a Japanese wife, and he told this like it was some kind of joke, like, "Oh, the member, we're doing this consultation," and just randomly he pulls out this uh, weird statement like, "Oh, I have a Japanese wife," and he was laughing at it like he's mocking the member, right? Again, not cool. Not cool to mock clients like that. Um, and Yeah, Ron, I wish you were my boss, man. I wish you were my boss. Um, so not cool, right? And the whole he had a Japanese wife thing. I have a Japanese wife, so when he mentioned it like that, I just felt like, okay, dude, you do realize. I was thinking this. You do realize my wife is Japanese, and I don't think it's funny for a member a member were to say that. Like if a member were to say, "Oh, my wife is black," or "Oh, like a person of color would say, "My wife is white." Like that's not funny. Um, and you're mocking a member's wife. I don't know. Are you mocking the wife? Are you mocking the fact that he's saying he has a wife, or that he's saying he has a Japanese wife? That's the funny part, the Japanese part. Like I just don't get it. And I'm always correcting him on his like misconceptions of Asia and Japan. I'm always correcting because the dude's never been there. The dude thinks like teriyaki is like Japanese food. It's technically like American food. It's like Japanese American food. Japanese people don't eat teriyaki. It's not a Japanese dish. And, um, anyway, he's just making all these like culturally insensitive statements. But when he brought the whole Japanese wife thing out, that's what kind of got me like, that's not cool. Okay. But then he brought it up another time, a subsequent time. That's when I said, hey, my wife's Japanese. And he just kept laughing and laughing it off. Like at that point, I was kind of like annoyed. I wasn't really laughing along at that point. And then he brought it up again to my other two colleagues who think they think it's funny. And again, I don't know if they really think it's funny or if they're just laughing because he's laughing. But I was within earshot, and it just felt like it was directed at me. So by this time, I'm like mad, and I'm almost ready to just like file a complaint uh, that it's hostile here. That, he's harassing me. I'm being targeted for that as like the butt of these jokes, and right. It's not funny. Like a wife's ethnicity is. I don't see how that is humorous. And he knows I have a Japanese wife, so just to bring up the fact, oh, this dude has a Jap. Hey, what's up, Tyler? Um, just bring it up like this is just absolutely was unnerving, and I felt targeted. I felt harassed in that moment. I didn't feel like I could really speak out about it either. So, very hostile environment. And again, I am recovering from injury. So, these kinds of stressors just really flare up. Like when I'm feeling like, if he's adding any kind of stress to me, like work wise, you just instantly feel it just coursing through your veins and body. I'm just like, oh, well, fast forward to last Friday. Or no, it was 2 Fridays ago, right? Yeah. No. It was the 12th. So last Friday. Last Friday, I was in on a call with a client. I wasn't the only one on the call. Another one of my colleagues, who's like two offices down, was on the call. And so we're not supposed to bring up making exceptions for a specific uh, for a specific situation. But if the member brings it up, then we can talk about it and find, again, like escalate the issue and consider maybe reversing. But the member has the client has to bring it up. We can't mention it. Um, but my colleague, again, she's kind of new. She doesn't really, no one's really like, she doesn't, my manager doesn't directly manage her. She has another manager who's offsite and really never giving her any kind of guidance. So she's kind of like working by herself, supporting our location. And anyway, she is basically telling the client, oh, we can make an exception. We can't guarantee it, but we can look into it for you and we'll let you know. But yeah, it's something we may be able to do for you. All right. So she mentioned it. So I basically was reiterating it on the call, like, this is not something we can guarantee, but we can definitely escalate it, and we'll provide an update on what our management decides. So this idiot of a boss just hears that. He's eavesdropping outside my office, hears me say that, and after the call's over, he comes in hot. And he's very emotionally charged, and he asked me, did the member bring up the exception, making an exception? And I said no. And before I was even able to explain myself, he said, he's like, we're not supposed to do that. He violated, regulations, and then he stormed out. Jeez. So I'm sitting there going, like, again, the stress and the, like, everything coursing through my body. I'm just sitting there, like, standing there being like, I don't need this. Like, I was like ready to just, like, so I basically messaged him and said, dude, I didn't even bring it up. My other colleague brought it up. I was just reiterating, and I don't appreciate you making accusations, jumping to conclusions, and berating me in my office, verbally attacking me, right? And then, what's up, guys? So he comes back in and he's like, he knows he messed up, first off, right? He knows he messed up, and he can't go and say anything to my colleague because, again, he doesn't manage her, but he doesn't even clarify with her, like, whether she did that or not. He just comes in and is kind of like trying to circularly talk around the fact that he messed up. He's like, well, again, I only overheard what you said, and you know, he wasn't apologizing. So basically, I was like, dude, this whole thing can blow over if you just apologize. And then he gave me the most BS insincere apology. Like, I apologize for having misinterpreted your call and blah, blah, this, all this. Like, he wasn't really taking accountability for it. He was just saying, like, I didn't have all the information, so I jumped to conclusions, and I'm sorry about doing that. Instead of like, dude, I messed up. Sorry. I should have communicated better. All the things he should have said, he did not. He just was like trying to get me to be like, oh, we're cool again. Like, that's what he's like, just apologizing to. So, like, for me to say, oh yeah, okay, I'm cool. Like, go about your business. We're cool. I'll get back to work. No, I was hot at that point, and I basically told him, look, I'm going to request a transfer because you know, I don't really want to work in this environment anymore. Um, and he knows, like, I'm dealing with my back, and I've been considering requesting a transfer just to commute somewhere more, closer to where I live. And I said, you know what? I'm not even going to mention any of this, but I'm going to request a transfer and kind of just let them know because of my back. And he's just like, oh, whatever. And he says whatever. So I just basically write an email, copy him on it, saying, due to my back and all this, I request to work closer to another location. And so my director gets involved. And rather than for her to like come to me and say, hey, what's wrong? And like really be concerned about what's going on, she takes his side. In fact, everybody takes his side. Uh, she basically refers me to HR because she can obviously I have a complaint, right? So she directs me to HR, but she kind of listens and pretends to like care. And then HR comes and does the whole sort of same thing, like what happened, tell me, and like they care. And then a couple days later, my director comes again. This was all on a call, and then she comes to the location, visits me, and kind of doing. She was scheduled to come, but she comes and we have a private meeting, and she flat out lies. She flat out lies to my face, like, look, first off, we don't have a recording of the call, but we've spoken to your colleague who's on the call, and she's not corroborating anything of what you're saying. And she's like, so we want to move past this. I want to just have you and your manager sit down, the three of us, and we'll discuss what happened, and we'll just find a path forward, right? I just want you guys to talk it out, air out what needs to be aired out, and then we'll go forward. Now, I was basically like, dude, no, I'm not comfortable with airing out anything because I didn't do anything wrong, first off. And I said, I'm not going to do that. And then she's like, all right, well, take your issue to HR, work with them. And HR, again, we had another kind of meeting where we're talking about, what's happened and the conversations they've had. And then, yeah, a couple days later, they basically, like my director and HR basically say, look, we're not going to investigate this matter. So it really comes down to you just uh, at some point communicating with everybody and finding a path forward. Right. And I was just like, dude, you're breaking Washington state labor laws, first off. Okay. Um, Basically, they were just like banking on me not filing a formal complaint and reporting the complaint or forwarding the complaint to state agencies because with a formal complaint they have to investigate. It's the law here. Now whether the investigation finds that I'm at fault or my manager's at fault, that's up to the investigation. But my company has to investigate, do an impartial, fair investigation, look into what's being alleged, and then take a corrective action. Okay. And so that's what I did. I filed a formal complaint, and I've been advised, just file the complaint with HR. And if they don't, do an investigation if they don't launch an investigation with a relatively short amount of time, I can file the complaint with a state agency here that will assign someone to look into it. So again, I'm not like lawyered up or anything. I don't really have a lawsuit type of case. It's not one of those things. But really, all I want is like the company to take accountability for this person who's created a hostile work environment that's targeting me. I just want that acknowledged, addressed, and corrected. Whether that's to have a conversation with him and correct his actions, and for him to make every, like, you know, like, make a formal apology or whatever, or remove me or remove him from the location. Um, whether, whatever it is, I need to feel like I can come into work, be supported, and be treated fairly and not harassed, right? Because I don't think this will be the, if we just like kind of do kumbaya, shake hands, and go back to work. No, it's this thing will, like, first off, he's again, he's kind of one of those guys who just flies off the handle. So I don't feel safe working with this dude. But I'm kind of the same way too. I'm like, if he were to just say the wrong thing to me, even one time, I would snap. I would snap. So, um, for my safety and for just my personal uh, career, I just don't feel comfortable in that environment. And I think HR has to respect that and find a way to make this, uh, basically, find out what really is going on, right? Because I think, like I said, if they really do their due diligence, they'll understand. Manager, he needs some kind of, he needs more management training. Let's just put it that way. He can't be going around making mocking clients for their Japanese wives or ethnic wives. That's just not cool. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm being very transparent. I'm obviously not, giving away any names or any details around that. I'm just being very generic. But in terms of what's happened, um, this is what has happened from my perspective, and it's unacceptable. And again, HR now reached back out to me. They're like, okay, we want to sit down and talk to you. And it's a different person, not the original HR person, who was like, just feed me all this BS about, like, oh, we're not going to. No, obviously, with the formal complaint and my accusations of um, violating my rights as an employee, putting me in a hostile work environment, workplace harassment. These are some serious allegations, and now they're taking it seriously. And I think they're going to be conducting an investigation soon where they'll interview my colleagues, people involved. And so we'll see what happens. Thank you, Ron. Oh man, that's not cool. Yeah, this is the thing. Like, I've been told by multiple, because I've been asking around, like, what should I do? Should I really, should I be kind of, you know, I've been trying to get some guidance on, like, do I have a case, or like a for litigation and all this? And um, the people I've talked to are saying that it's really hard in Washington State to sue your employer for certain things. Um, it's just one of those things where, like, if you don't have like a detailed log of what happened, it oftentimes turns into like a he said kind of situation where um, you know uh, it's not good for the complainant. It's always favors, because again, these corporations have deep pockets, and obviously there's no guarantee if I lawyer up that anything's going to happen. And so the lawyers don't want to take your case, right? Unless there's something very specific, something like undeniably, like harassment or whatever. like criminal level type stuff, uh, where it becomes litigious or you have a litigious advantage. But, that's not my case. So it's basically, again, um, for me, it's about getting this guy to understand he can't do this at work and having the higher ups really question, oh, do we need this guy? Like, is this guy a liability for us? Do we have to give him a warning or, take some kind of corrective action or fire him because it's uh, maybe been an ongoing thing? I would imagine there've been complaints about him from other people. I'm probably not the first one. I know our clients have complained about him, so it's not like he has a clean record there. So he's walking on thin ice if they actually do an investigation. So that's kind of what I'm wanting. I'm just wanting leadership to be held accountable for creating this environment and for them to fix it. That's all I'm wanting. Hmm. Yeah, I've kind of, I, they have these sort of free consultations where they listen to you, and then now the lawyers. I think the lawyers are just like, we can't represent you. You just don't have a strong enough case. So, um, again, I think the best I can do is just hopefully take it to the state agency, and if the state investigates it, they find something wrong, boy, then the company has a problem. And then again, if the state finds that the company did something at that point, like I probably will have a dozen lawyers like knocking down my door to like represent me. But it sounds like even if the state does investigate, they kind of, it's not always clear cut on how the state decides if there's something that's been violated or not. So this is where I think, what I said earlier, it generally doesn't play out well for the complainants. Oftentimes, the companies, they they're just kind of slapped on the hand, and there's nothing really, at the end of the day, they can't fire me, because then I do really have a case. So they can't take any kind of retaliatory measures toward me for filing the complaint. But again, I honestly think it's hostile and I've been harassed, and so we'll see what the investigation yields, what result it will yield. Yeah, and that's the thing, they're going to try to prove it wrong. Um, it really comes down to like what my colleagues, how they view it, and I can tell you right now, like if they want to continue working with that guy, they're probably not going to be too critical of him and all that. So again, I have a ton of things working against me right now, but I feel like I had to file it for my own protection because now they can't file fire me for filing a complaint. Uh, they have to basically see this thing through, and we'll see what it yields. Yeah, they didn't really have any basis to fire me. Like I've been doing good work. Uh, I show up every day on time. Like I'm the first one in, and they really don't have any basis to fire. And again, my manager understands like I'm the top performer right now in the team. So I don't know why he wouldn't. I just think we've had like I think some issues. Again, some of those like arguments and things in the past. Again, I don't like the guy, right? So I don't go out of my way to like, you know, kiss his butt or anything like that. So I think that's part of it as well. There's just sort of this like, um, he probably doesn't like me, deep down inside, um, which is all right at this point. I don't like him either. He broke that that very, very thin line of trust that we had professionally. He basically cut the line, and now it's gone. I don't think that trust can ever be restored. I just don't want to work with this guy. I don't like him. Uh, Again, for all the things I mentioned, he he's basically harassing me and targeting me and uh, creating a lot of hostility at work. So just done. I just want to be out of the situation. And if it comes to a point where they force me to work there without any kind of accountability or corrective action on that guy's part, I always have the option to just leave the situation on my own. And I've been kind of looking now, just exploring my opportunity. I don't want to leave. Obviously, I want to stay and continue to work and do what I've been doing. But if it comes to that, yeah, I'll just find another opportunity. It's like I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm endangering my you know physical and mental well-being, um, to work for a bunch of jerks. It's like I'll just move on. It's I don't have to deal with this crap. All right. All right. Well, yeah. The thing is, okay, I don't want to get him fired, right? I don't want to get him fired, um, because even though he's got a lot of issues. I wish I could be like his boss and just be like, dude, you can't do that. And just kind of like make him understand, like, you just can't be saying what's on your mind. You can't just be communicating one way and not listening. And you can't get emotional in certain situations, right? You just can't. You can't do. You can't be contentious with clients or in front of clients, and that's what he struggles with. And so he obviously just deals with a lot of, I think, you know, family or whatever issues. Obviously, stress is there, but whatever family issues he's had, or whatever issues he's had growing up, um, they're right there on the surf, like right beneath the surface, and that's the really kind of disturbing thing. It's like this guy's, um, he's not all together, held together well. So, um, and I feel for him. He's dealing with a lot right now in his personal life. So, it's kind of like he shares all these like inappropriate details. He likes to brag. He has all these like, like aged whiskeys. He spends like $500 on these aged whiskeys, and he doesn't have enough time to drink them all and all this. I'm just like, that's fine. Like, no one, I could care less about your whiskeys. It's like, I'm glad that's your little hobby there, but my hobby is comic books. And so anyway, um, enough enough complaining about that. I'll give you updates as they come, but I'm very frustrated and I'm hoping the right thing is done, but I'm a little bit skeptical as well. Uh, the right thing were going to be done, it would have been done already, given I've been very communicative to my leadership and HR, and they've done jack. So they seem to just be wanting to cover their asses about what's been going on. So we'll just see what happens. Um, I've got a new HR person I'm working with, and they want to meet next week. So we'll see how that conversation goes. Um, yeah, he's all trying to be nice to me now at work, and he knows what's up. He knows I've gone to HR, and he knows he's kind of worried, about what's been said. And that so, um, yeah, thanks, Tyler. It's been a just dealing with a lot of stuff right now, and it's at this time of the year, right, with Christmas and the New Year, it's like having kind of hostile work environment issues. It's not cool. It's very stressful, and I'm um, I'm just trying not to let it get to me. Luckily, for the past 2 days, the manager uh, just kind of took some time off, so he wasn't at work yesterday or today. Um, and man, I had a great time at work, just with my colleagues, and uh, we had another uh, we had another manager come and cover our location. She was great, you know. I was just kind of like, man, why can't I work for this lady? She's amazing. She's incredible. She's like, there's not like a aggressive bone in her body. She just like you like bring her stuff. She's just like patient, listening, and there to kind of give you support. Like she understands, like, you know, this is there's a lot of stress here, but you gotta just deal with it and not let it bother you. But somebody didn't get the memo for this is how you manage. Thanks, Ron. All right, well, let's get to the topic at hand. Because sorry to bring all my dirty laundry onto the channel, but um, I want to respond to something Roger put out. Metarog. Um, he's my kind of like my mentor in collecting. Just because he's been collecting longer, uh, he's very one of the most knowledgeable people about comics I know in our community. Um, and there are very few people I think that are more passionate about comic books. I mean, Roger is a true aficionado, fanatic, uh, you know, uh, almost to the point of like obsessive about a hobby or about a thing, right? He's um, just crazy, cuckoo crazy for comic books. And like I strive to be that way, but I'm just I can't. I just don't have the you know I'm in training, I guess. It's like for me it'll take a little bit more time. Just I need to read more comic books. I need to just kind of study up because it's there's a lot of information there. And I only have my little silos that I know, but you know, um, Roger definitely is has a broader scope of the hobby and the industry and all that. But he was responding to, I think, uh, a challenge put out by, I want to say TM Nerdy or somebody who's like a big DC Comics fan. I think it was a maybe originated with a big Green Lantern fan in the community, but whoever originated this challenge, I think it's great timing for this kind of viral um, theme to go out, and that is, uh, obviously, if you collect Green Lantern, it's a little bit of a harder challenge, but it's a challenge to just show off your Green Lantern books. And I think um, Roger's cadence was showing off 5 books, so that's what I'm going to do. But he challenged a bunch of community members in the video, um, and then he uh, sent me. Uh, he was responding to one of my comments, and he challenged me as well. So yeah, thanks, Roger, for extending the challenge to me because I did want to do this, and I just think it's cool because again, so okay, Roger doesn't collect Green Lantern comics, so he was saying like he just kind of pulled out what he had to show off. But I don't know, that kind of surprised me. Not that he doesn't collect Green Lantern comics, but that he didn't have a lot of Green Lantern comics. I would imagine he has probably an extensive collection, but apparently not, which is, I guess, if you're not collecting or you're not targeting it, um, that's probably the case. I know a lot of collectors that are DC collectors, or they collect DC, but they don't collect Green Lantern. And I don't know, outside of G Lantern Comics, Josh, and he collects a broad swath of things across DC, but I think he specifically loves the Jeff Johns run on DC, including Green Lantern, right? So um, he's probably the closest person I know to actually collect, and um, I think Green Lantern is his favorite character. And then there's Ryan, the fire guy, Ryan. Um, Green Lantern's what he collects and what he reads and his favorite character. So there are people who, there are people who have Green Lantern at the forefront of what they collect, the focus of what they collect. But that's not the majority of us. And so, like, again, the the community members that I kind of follow and know, um, I don't know too many who have extensive Green Lantern comics. But having said that, yeah. Having said that, I think of all the things that have been presented about the DCU so far, and we're talking about James Gunn's, uh, again, only one movie and Peacemaker season 2. These are the only 2 things that have been released. So not a lot for there to there's not a lot for us to kind of build on with just 2 things that have been put out. But we have Supergirl coming out. We have the Lantern series coming out. And on the horizon, we have a bunch of DC projects. So there's a lot to be excited for there. And I gotta say, more than Supergirl, this sounds like blasphemy, right? But I gotta say, like, more than Supergirl, I am looking forward to that Lantern series because what it's proposing. Again, the they're go basically presenting the you know the 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 lore behind the Green Lantern Corps, right? The lore behind the Guardians of the Ring, the lore behind this selection process of different lanterns guarding different sectors of the universe, right? Being the police force of um, various worlds or various sectors of the universe. Um, and there's a whole like backstory code and cast of characters in the core. Obviously, um, there's a history of Hal Jordan and Sinestro that's also compelling as well. And so there's a lot to be excited there because Green Lantern is a great character, has a great um, comic book history behind him, and it's really one of the more compelling characters in DC outside of Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman. When you look at the sort of the tertiary characters in DC, Green Lantern's right up there at the top. And think about it, outside of the Ryan Reynolds movie, we just haven't seen much of Green Lantern, right? It's uh, we kind of had Jon Stewart presented in the animation. We've never really had anything before that, except kind of like he was in the Saturday morning cartoons in the background there. Um, he's always been a central character in the comic books, like whether it's Justice League of America or just making cameos in Batman, Superman, whatever throughout. He's just a core character there in the larger DC stream. And so again, if you understand that you're a comics guy, I think all of us, we collectively don't collect Green Lantern or, for whatever reasons. But Green Lantern is like as significant as Batman, right? So I know a lot of people collect Batman. I have a lot of Batman comic books, but the fact that, like Green Lantern is kind of getting a spotlight put on it because of James Gunn and this project. You've got 3 Green Lanterns already announced. You got Guy Gardner, you've got Hal Jordan, and now Jon Stewart in their kind of, good cop, bad cop type, or I should say, you know, veteran and rookie cop kind of, team up kind of thing happening. It's a very sort of detective, true detective kind of series where they're solving crimes. And again, there's something lurking in terms of the antagonist there that they don't know, but it's going to kind of unravel and unwind. And all indications are, it could be Sinestro or whatever, but there's a lot of, villains they could pull from. So it's just presenting a very exciting. I mean, if you're a Green Lantern fan, you're probably losing your mind with what's been kind of announced thus far. But even for us casual Green Lantern fans, it's exciting stuff. And like I said, of all the projects that have been announced right now, gotta say I'm most excited for Green Lantern. More excited than outside of Superman. Superman is the most he's central to everything. But right now, like the Wonder Woman project, the Batman 2, Supergirl, none of those projects excites me quite as much as this long form TV series, The Lanterns, which will probably transition into some movies. And kind of unfold itself there. So, man, um, that's an exciting prospect. You know me so well, Tyler. All right, so yes, I'm going to show off five. Yeah, I didn't hate the Green Lantern movie. I gotta say, I didn't hate it. I thought it had a good look. I agree with you, and it did present again the that relationship between Sinestro and Hal Jordan. I thought the Hal Jordan origin story was good. It stayed uh, semi true to the comics. Um, and yeah, they had a couple more ancillary characters there from the Green Lantern Corps. Um, but overall, I just felt like Ryan Reynolds, he, you know what I mean? Like that, it just didn't feel like the comic. He was playing Deadpool in a Green Lantern uniform. It's like he was just being himself, like that, which is fine. Like, I think Ryan Reynolds has charisma in terms of bringing like humor and some ability to act and do action sequences and all that. He's got talent, but um, yeah, I think the casting for that was just a little off, and the tone of the movie was just, I don't know what, it just didn't feel like it just didn't have enough substance, I guess, to and it was so CGI like heavy. They didn't have to make Sinestro a CGI character. They could have cast a real person for the. I mean, he looked great, but he was CGI, right? It's like they could have done more with like sets and real people versus doing everything CGI related. So anyway, I agree. Green Lantern movie wasn't horrible as it was made out to be, but there were issues, and I think ultimately, like, it could have been better, right? It could have gotten a better version of it. All right, yeah, we're gonna get to the books, and hopefully, for those of you who've seen my collection or know my collection quite intimately, you should kind of, I guess, understand what I'm going to present. But these are actually all really great Green Lantern books, and I was surprised. Not I like Roger. I don't have a lot of Green Lantern books, but I gotta say, what the few books that I do have, they're pretty cool. So let's get into them. I'm starting off with an homage to Roger because Roger helped press this book. He pressed and cleaned this book. So as you can see, it looks fantastic. Um, this one just it was kind of like nice to begin with, but with the press and everything, it obviously is a lot looks a lot more crisp and clean. Uh, the issue with this book is it is a detached cover, so um yeah, I think Roger may have like kind of restapled and kind of attached the book, but it's still loose. Um it's not completely, you stable there at the staples. They're still kind of popped, and but it again, it looks great. And what we got here is, yes, of Neil Adams. This is his silver to bronze age run, late silver to early bronze age run of Green Lantern. And this is Green Lantern, but it's kind of shared during this period that is Green Lantern and Green Arrow. They kind of team up here. And we get this great cover here of Black Canary. And yeah, nice just a classic Neil Adams cover. So Green Lantern 78. I think this is volume 2, right? Volume 278. So good stuff right there to start us off. So thanks, Roger, for working on this book. And Roger, if you're watching or listening, we need to connect. We need to. It's been a while since we've connected, and I do want to hopefully do some stuff with you. So I'll probably reach out to you at some point. All right, next we got this is really cool because this is a real key book. And I think this is one with potential for legs when the series takes off, and then hopefully there's a lot of. I know the community. So let me put it this way. Um, the comic book community response to Green Lantern is going to be strong and intense, and then it's just going to kickstart demand for these books, because that's all how it works always. You kind of just have like a few people who are speculative buyers, or just people in the know who are already kind of maybe picking up books like this, and they're cognizant of this series. So they're buying Green Lantern keys, they're buying things related to the projects and all that. So that's fine. But definitely, this is one of those books that, um, again, it's the first issue of the Green Lantern Corps in the title. So this is a book. It's I think a 6-issue miniseries. It's a miniseries that started, and this is like early '80s stuff. So it's really cool. But yeah, this is great. Early DC covered by Brian Boland as well. So it checks off all the sort of cool boxes here for something to target. And like I said, when the community just kind of focuses on collecting lantern keys and books that they're turning to stuff to target, this, I think, book is going to just take off. It's going to be huge, especially if you get into these character, because there's a lot of first appearances attached to this title here, or not first appearances, but first like kind of ensemble team appearances here. And I think it's this character's first appearance as well. So if she's gets introduced, or has like a big part, the core's coming. So a lot of these characters here in the background are coming. So just presents a lot of potential spec there. So, but for me, it was, again, I got this book. I got this book for 33 cents. I kid you not. I found it in the 33, 3 for $1 bin at Hilla Comics. And Hilla Comics, man, again, they got rid of the 33-cent bins. So until they bring back the 33-cent bins, there's just really no point of going. This is the thing, like, all my cheap comic book options have slowly disappeared. Mill Geek with my 50-cent bins, gone. Ancient Comics, Jeff came back, but Jeff is just putting the worst, like literally garbage books out in his quarter bins. So it's not, and it's like six long boxes, all garbage. He's refusing to like put out good books in those quarter bins. He's got a lot more time. He's like, able to sell a lot more. He's not having to like work late. He can kind of like work less hours now because the business is doing so well. So like he's taking books that he might not have pressed and done, fixed up in the past that he would have just put in the quarter bin. Now he's actually pressing, cleaning these kind of questionable books, and he's trying to sell them for like higher grade prices in his back issue bins versus the quarter bins. So he's just not even an option anymore. I mean, if I have budget and I want to go pick up Target specific books for high grade stuff, I'll still hit him up. I'll still hit him up for the Superman, Silver Age stuff as well. But he's now become a shop where you have to kind of spend and kind of pay higher for the retail value now, um, which isn't good. So quarter bins are gone. I don't go there for his quarter bins anymore because the quarter bins just he doesn't put anything in there worth buying. Um, and now Hill Comics, the 33-cent bin is gone, and they are only selling kind of like full priced out. They're not even priced to grade. A lot of them they're just priced out. Um, they're taking like kind of mid to high grade books and giving them high grade prices. It's absolutely ridiculous. So Hill Comics not an option anymore. There's just really no cheap bins anymore. I think my last option now is the dollar bins over at, and that's far. I've got to go to West Seattle, but the guy out there has dollar bins, so that's kind of like I think, and it's not even a large selection of dollar bins. It's basically like I want to say maybe 6 long boxes of dollar bins. That's it. So the cheap comic book options are slowly and steadily just dying. And I don't know if it has to do with inflation or what the pressures or what the things are, but see a lot of businesses going over, and the business that are surviving are realizing, look, can't can't sell. Gotta do my best to like sell things at higher prices, and it is what it is. But anyway, I got this one for 33 cents. I could have picked up additional copies of this kind of right around the dollar, the $2 range. But yeah, this is one to target, I think. Just just a really cool book. All right, so that's number 2. Number 3 is really notable because it's actually in decent shape. Let's say it's a solid like 6.0 copy, maybe 6.5, somewhere around there. Well, there's like, all right, now I take it back. It's probably closer to a 5 now. You see the crease there. Probably closer to a 5, like a fine copy. But it looks really good. I mean, like you have to kind of look close to that. It's very faint there, the crease, but you can see it. Outside of that, the spine has obviously some issues there. This would obviously improve the press as well. But yeah, we got another Neil Adams cover here, and this is a really doozy, if you like. First off, Roger showed off. He showed off DC Comics Presents, the first appearance of the new Teen Titans, and we're talking like Starfire, we're talking Cyborg, and that issue is another key that I will be targeting hopefully in the new year. That's a book I've been wanting for a while now, and now it's just like it's getting to the point where it's like maybe too late. But I don't mind spending. I don't mind paying an elevated value for that because I think it's one of those books that um, it's just a must-have, right? So it's just always going to be kind of relevant. So we'll just have to see. We'll try to get a decent grade copy somewhere. If you know if it's in this fine plus range, I think I'll be happy with a pickup like that. But yeah, we have this great Superman versus Green Lantern cover there. But obviously, that other book, the DC Comics presents Green Lantern, Superman, sharing the cover on that book is the one you want, the bigger book. But in terms of artwork, I think this one is the better art book. It's not a key, but man, look at that. Get that action cover right there. Let the battle for Earth begin. And keep in mind, Green Lantern is very powerful because essentially the power of the ring yields you whatever you um, you're basically using your imagination to create anything with the ring. Okay. So it requires a really sort of quick-minded, sort of strategic type thinker, right? Kind of see situations and react and respond with the ring to counteract or strike with the right series of manifestations, right? So it's you know it's a lot trickier than it sounds, but at the same time, he's kind of like a god, right? It's if you can imagine something, the ring, the power of the ring will manifest it, you know. And in that instance, Superman is very vulnerable to Green Lantern because the Green Lantern can, uh, uh, you know, um, can create kryptonite. You know, it can create anything that's green and bring it to like fruition, right? And that includes being able to uh, create kryptonite and debilitate uh, Superman. So the Lanterns have always been able to kind of go head to toe with Kryptonians in um, an Earth-like environment, right? It's like they've always kind of been able to handle most alien species with their power of the ring. So it's just one of those things that if you talk about people who could beat Superman, and that that's what I loved about the Guy Gardner thing. The guy, Guy Gardner was like he wants to fight Superman, right? He's kind of like, hey, bring it on, Supes. You know I can handle you, right? Like I know what your weaknesses are and all that. So um yeah, checkmate. At some point, like if it came down to this battle, Superman doesn't necessarily have the upper hand. Um I think where Superman can has advantages is like his speed versus Green Lantern, right? Green Lantern couldn't react if Superman just used his super speed. And also, if Green Lantern isn't in like a defensive mode, Superman could obviously just pulverize him with his heat vision. So there's a lot of things. It's not to say like Green Lantern has the battle in a bag, but at the same time, they kind of they have their strengths and weaknesses, and no one has a real like sure advantage because Green Lantern can fly and move rather quickly as well. We have to go to a Comic Con together. Yeah. Okay. Uh, yeah, I would love to take my wife to Comic Con, but she's just not one of those people. Um, she does love cosplay though, and uh, she's dressed up as Chun. My wife. First off, my wife is very attractive, which is why part of me was attracted to her and pursued the relationship. But yeah, she like physically, she is like built like Chun Li, like you know what I mean. She's just kind of like um, very healthy physique, kind of like she's strong. She's uh, yeah. If you were to cast uh, her as like a character, I think most people would be like, "Oh yeah, uh, you'd make a great Chun Li." So I'm just gonna put that out there. My wife would probably, and she's dressed up as Chun Li for Halloween and stuff. So um, it's funny that you bring that up. Nice. I'm sure. Yeah. You know, hey, you kind of have to. You kind of have to. You know, I don't think you. Not to say ugly women aren't a thing or whatever, but I'm just saying like you got to be attracted to the person you end up with, right? I don't think um, let's just put it like beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Everybody has beauty, uh, um, and yeah, um, even if I don't think it's all relative, essentially. Beauty's what you find in people, but there are just really, really, really attractive people, and there are really some people that are attractive, but not on the inside. So everything's relative. I know, I know you're trying to say Ron, and I'm trying to say I agree with you. All right, so yeah, we've got again. I think this is just cool, just a cool book to have. Glad to have it again. Neil Adams classic cover here. Uh, Definitely, if you like Superman, you like Green Lantern, like I do, this is a cool book to have. All right, this next one, I got to give a shout out to. I got to give a shout out to. I'm forgetting his name. Mint Hunter Comics. I got to give a shout out to Mint Hunter Comics because he did a great. He kind of put out this video of like, I think it was like books that always sell, or books kind of like books that are always in demand that aren't ebooks, right? Like non-key books that comic book collectors always buy up or target. Like if he had a book like this in his collection, it's always selling. Like people are always looking for it. People are always willing to buy it. Case in point, I'm guilty as well. Like when I think I ran across this book in one of those like live sales, and when I saw the book, obviously I can't see the collection very well or the condition very well, but when this book was presented, I was just like, wow, that's a great price. I think I'm going to claim it and get it. And then when I got the book, I was kind of like, oh, I see why it was priced the way it was, because it was um, kind of in the lower grade category. So again, I paid kind of what it's valued at. But at the time when I bought it, I thought it was um, sort of a higher grade book. So wasn't too disappointed because it is a great, I think, great, ultimately a great cover. We've got this Murphy Anderson gem here of cover, and we've got the Green Lantern. You know, get the Green Lantern. Uh, what is it? The motto, the lantern. Uh, what's the word I'm looking for? The lantern. Yeah, is there an Alex Ross version of this? Okay, right? Yeah. This is just, I think, one of those great, you know, arch nemesis covers. And this is the lantern um, motto. I want to say it's the motto or the lantern. What's the word I'm looking for? The lantern vow. It's the lantern vow. And it's the, you know, brightest day, blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. And then Sinestro adds a little twist here. Beware my power, Sinestro's light. And he's got the yellow lantern there versus the green. So again, Silver Age book, uh, classic Murphy Anderson cover here. And again, this was featured in by Mint Comics as really sort of like a key because of its like cover art, because of its you know, its subject matter and all that. So I couldn't agree more. It's definitely gonna own a Lantern book. This is kind of a cool book to have. Um, it's not really a key book. It's just the cool cover, and there again the pose there, the vow and all that. That's it. Just makes for like a classic key, in my opinion. And yeah, it's I would put this at like a, yeah. I wish it were maybe a fine. I wish it were like a in better condition. Oath, yeah, it is the oath, the lantern oath. Yeah. Um, you know, I'm thinking it's because you know we got the I think that pop staple. You got some. I want to say there's more. There's something. I think there's like a issue here somewhere, like a rip or something. I don't know. I got to kind of look over the book. Actually, it's not that bad. I thought it was. Yeah, maybe a fine minus, maybe a VG plus, somewhere in between there. Yeah, it doesn't look as bad as I thought it was. Um, yeah, I think with the press it could present decent. Obviously, hasn't been pressed, so maybe we'll send this to Roger. Yeah, Roger, if you're listening, send your Green Lantern book. All right, that was number two, and of course, I think a lot of you called number one. Um, This is number one, and it's number one for a reason, as you can see right there. Yes, this is a signed book. This was gifted to me by the very beautiful uh, silver haired Bronze Age babe, and she gifted this to me um, very generously, and she loves Neil Adams. She loves Lois Lane, but she also loves comic books. And so, uh, yeah, she's been just one of the few people I just religiously follow. And again, I support in terms of our comic book community. And I'm really fortunate. I bought some books from her recently, um, and I kind of want her because like I had a limited budget, so I bought some books, and then I kind of like uh, wasn't able to buy more books from her, unfortunately, because I was kind of like reserving the budget for adding other different stuff. But I'm hoping in the coming year she will have another, like, I don't know if she'll purge some of her books for like, because I think she's focusing on like picking up higher grade books now. Like she was used to be one of those collectors, and kind of where she used to be, in the sense that as long as I have the book in my collection, it doesn't matter really what the grade is. I'm not a grade snob, and I'm kind of just picking up books because they're uh, because they're affordable, right? Um, she used to collect that way, and then she's kind of shifted now to, kind of trading out or selling off lower grade stuff in her collection for higher grade stuff. And I think I'm eventually going to get there as well, because I'm finding like I still want to pick up stuff um in for cheap, like get a good deal on it. But at the same time, I am like I am starting to draw a line now. Like it has to be a certain there has to be a certain presentability about the book before I'll even consider it. And so I'm kind of graduating from it being below a certain grade. So yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with like part of her influence on me, but also I think I'm coming to realize like um if a book is uh too low grade, it kind of loses its appeal. And I think that's where the fun part of the hobby is. It's like you just don't want to pick up like coverless books and all that. You kind of want to have like really high grade stuff in your collection, um, like this, because it's just at the end of the day, it does make the book a lot more attractive to have at the end of the day if it's kind of pristine and the way it should look, right? But yeah, obviously you can't do that for every book, and I still don't buy into the whole grading, like you have to grade your books and all that. But I think for the bigger books, yeah, it does make sense to maybe attach a grade or have a slab in your collection. Now, will I slab this one? I kind of want to do it, because if this were to come back in a 9.8 with a signature, that would be really kind of cool to have. And then, obviously they'd verify the signature and all that. So you'd have sort of signature verification, and you have what is arguably his um, best known comic book cover art. This one got such like acclaim for the subject matter, right? It's just a very memorable. I mean, Speedy, he dies. He ODs on heroin and dies in this arc. So it's gritty stuff. And like, look, he's just a junkie now. He's just like, look at that, the shooting up with the needle and all. So really kind of like depressing, gritty subject matter there. But Neil Adams is just one of his best works as a comic book artist here on display. And yeah, even though this is a facsimile, right? Um, I just really feel fortunate to have this piece signed. And so, yeah, this is a book. I'm not big on grading and having slabs in my collection, but um, if I am gonna send in a few select books to be graded, this may be one of the ones that make the cut. So we'll see. All right, that is it. That's the top book in my collection, and I am going to be sharing something we're going to do moving forward. And I'm hoping, yeah, right? Jerry is, oh man, that he must have so much fun with his collection because uh, I watch his videos and I'm just like, man, the guy, he's a surgeon. He's a comic book surgeon. He literally can like resuscitate books back to. Obviously, he's doing a lot of he's doing a lot of restoration on the book, but it's still to a point where it's just the books look fantastic. All right, so his Justice 11 cover is a nod to it. Okay. It's sorry, I've been so busy looking at the books. All right. Okay, nice. You have the original issues. That's good. Yeah, the actual comic book um has spiked in value, and then we're talking like a recent spike. Like this was kind of a pricey book, um, during the whole comic boom thing, right? And I would say it was around like $100 maybe in higher grade. That is not the case anymore. This is let me check the pricing here. Ron, do you know the price off the top of the head? This thing is reaching like like mega key status. Oh, it's 300. Okay. Yeah, I feel like 300 is still really affordable for a book like this. But it's pretty much like tripled in price, right? Because I want to say it was like $100 just a few years ago, and now it's probably closer to 500 now for like a really nice copy. Um, So, and I this is just one of those books. It's highly sought after, and that's not to say there aren't a lot of copies there, but it's one of those things where so many collectors, if they run across it or they see it or whatever, it's like one of those like just like tempting buys, right? You just if you have the money and you see it and it's something you can kind of negotiate to buy, oftentimes you're going to take advantage of that, right? So it's just one of those kinds of like across the board people people value it and will buy it, kind of add to their collection type books. Yeah. Hey mom, what's a junkie? What are you talking about? Yeah. This one had the comics code on it too. That's the funny thing. How crazy must have that been if they were like, you know what I mean? Like if just kids were shooting up heroin, just you know what I mean, kind of was that way in the 70s, I guess. You just had a lot of people being experimental with stuff and a lot of depressed, you know, a lot of depressed kids. Just a tough time, you know, you're coming out of a post-war, post-socially, transitional period in the United States. So just a lot of stuff going on, and yeah, I could see how drugs would just be an escape from all the crap that was going on in society at that time. Right? Ron knows what's up. All right. Um, yeah, you have the original. That's what I'm saying. Like, you have the original. It's a big book, and this is one of those books that you want the original of. And I'm just telling you, man. Like, it's. I think it still has, again, with that Lantern movie, Lantern series coming out. You don't think everybody's going to be wanting to target this book? It's a it, yeah, it's just a perfect storm waiting to happen, right? It's like, um, you talk about Green Lantern keys. There's obviously, the first appearances and all that, but once you step outside of that, it's like having the original first print run of this, first edition of this comic book is definitely, I want it. I want the first Neil Adams Green Lantern book as well. It's his first work on the book, the one where the Green Arrow shooting the lantern and it's shattering. That's a great that's a great book. Oh, it's from Cheech and Chong. Which reference? All right. Seems they should even know. Mm-hmm. Oh, the Dave reference. All right. Oh, this stuff. Okay, okay. It's me, Dave. I've got this stuff. Yeah. They just Trump just recategorized marijuana. It was like, I think it was it had the same classification, like a category, I think they call it category 1 or something like that, as heroin. Like marijuana and heroin were considered like the same status of illegality when it, in terms of banned substances, right, in the United States. And obviously, no one, if you were to say, ask anybody, you know, what's more harmful, everyone's gonna be like, yeah, heroin. I mean, there's so many other things that are more harmful than marijuana. Marijuana is like one of the safest, I think, drugs. I would, you know, it's almost as safe as like aspirin. We all know Trump's thoughts on aspirin, but yeah, he, you know, this is actually a cool thing Trump has done. He's actually uh, being sensible about, um, kind of making marijuana more accessible. The declassification or the lowering of the it's I guess it's what would you it's danger, um, allows for cannabis now to be used medically um, without issues. So it's going to be prescribed more for just by doctors as a treatment, whereas before it was harder to do that. And this is going to open up uh, for more conservative states to now like legalize it for just recreational use. So I think it's a pretty good thing to like uh again, I think it's a sensible thing to just kind of not classify marijuana as one of those like, you know, drugs that can ruin your life or kill you or anything like that. It's I mean, come on. We've all done it. We know its effects, efficacies, and whatnot. And we know it's all good, right? It's all good. It's not gonna really. More people should be doing it. My boss probably wouldn't be such a jackass if he smoked more, did stuff like that. I almost want to trade his scotch for some blunts or something. Um, of course, it's your country, yes, especially if you have the native roots. Um, um, but yeah, Cheech and Chong, yeah, those guys, those guys are just you know, Up in Smoke. That's just a classic movie there. Yeah, they removed it from the federal narcotics list, so it's no longer like a category one uh, drug. It's not. Let's just put it this way: it's not highly banned. It's not going to be a highly banned drug anymore, which is good, right? This is the real. I think a lot of people can't afford some of these medications and stuff. And then, marijuana is so therapeutic for a lot of things, pain management being one of them. But I think also just dealing with anxiety, PTSD, all kinds of different, different, different conditions. And yeah, it's such a it's such a cheaper option than like being prescribed some of these drugs, right? So um, also it's just gonna chill the f out of people, right? It's just we're gonna make people That's so aggressive. And King James is one of your ancestors? Get out of here. What? Is this like is this like there's records of this, or is this like just kind of family handed down stories? That's crazy. That's crazy, man. I feel like King James had a lot of kids though, right? So it's like it's just kind of one of those claims. Like if your family is from a specific area during like with a specific last name, you would be just associated with the lineage, I guess. Okay, cool. That is crazy, man. That's one thing I don't have. Our family lineage, because of the war, right? A lot of public records just got destroyed during the war. And Korea wasn't like advanced where they kept, you know, they weren't really a like a thriving democracy. They were literally during the war, they were uh, a theocracy still, right? So, a lot of these public records were just like old school, like, like scroll type stuff where you would put stamps on stuff and families kept their like, personal records. You had public records, and it was like a loosely administrative type system in Korea where it's, you know, like if you were the peasant class, you just didn't have records, and the people who were had more of the kind of the well-to-do names and lineages, you had those kinds of records kept about you. So, um, but again, during the war, all of that stuff, a lot of that stuff got destroyed or burned, and you know, just displaced. So, yeah, my family, you know, my family's one of those families that got displaced and got all their records messed up um, during the Korean War, and my it really is just sort of like a verbal history of um, the stuff that kind of maybe is connected to my grandparents. So I think we have records and lineages up to my great grandparents on record, but anything before that, it's just lost. So it's I guess good and it's I guess bad. I don't know. I don't see it as all that important, but um, the fact that yeah, who knows? Maybe I had like some royal lineage there or something. I doubt it. I know my dad's dad was well to do, and he was what so if you're well to do, you're educated in Japan. And my dad, again, my grandfather was educated in at Waseda University. So he's a graduate of Waseda. He spoke fluent Japanese and like had a kind of a well-to-do background in life. But then when the communists came, it's like he was like the first to go. So he was murdered. and my family was displaced. And so there's a lot of trauma there on my dad's side and my mom's side, because my mom's dad was killed as a combatant in the Korean War. So he was serving on the Democratic side, the southern side, and um, didn't make it out. He just didn't make it out. So um, yeah, it was just a lot of lost history there, trauma there, and it's something my family doesn't like to dwell on, obviously, for the obvious reasons, but it is what it is. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's great. Right? Yeah, if you go back far enough, we're kind of like we share the same DNA at some point, right? So we that's a good point. It's funny that you mentioned yeah, it's funny you mentioned Attila Hun, or like Genghis Khan, right? Genghis Khan, apparently, like, the Mongolians, uh, they had such a wide reach, and they did a lot of, you know, violent, questionable stuff, right? So you're just talking about, like, there's probably an entire historical generation that was like conquered and, just ravaged by uh, Genghis Khan and his his hordes. And just saying, there's just a lot of that Mongolian blood out there, um, across different civilizations and cultures. Now, I'm sure over time you had kind of like you reach kind of a more of a equilibrium in terms of uh, race and ethnicity, but yeah, there's probably a time there where just like everybody was looking Mongolian for a time, right? So it's just it's just one of those things. You probably, yeah, right. We all got a little Mongolian in us, I'm sure. All right, well, I do want to kind of end with something I'm going to move forward with. I just want to get Ron. I want to get your thoughts on this, but essentially, what I'm going to do is let me start here first. Give me just a moment here. Where'd that go? So, I'm going to take a book like this in my collection, right? For example, I have Action, and I'm primarily going to start with Superman with Action Comics here, because I do want to eventually cover my entire collection, right? So you're just kind of getting a real deep dive into my collection, because not only am I going to just kind of like show the book, hey, here it is, it's my collection. This is kind of what I don't know why I flipped it around, because I thought it was the back, but it's a different book. But like, for example, I'm gonna say, hey, I got Action Comics 244. This is sort of the grade of the book, as you can see, all the issues with it and whatnot. I love this book, by the way. It's just something I picked up this year, and I just love it. Uh, Superman's Undersea Kingdom. That's cool. But like, kind of show the book off, and we're going to talk about like its creators, right? And then I'm gonna just kind of like we're gonna just go through the book. How fun is that? So I've been downloading a lot of these like digital comics. It's been slow going because I have a lot of comic books, but again, I'm kind of just trying to download as many of the copies I have, digital copies I have of the comic books in my collection as I can. And starting really with the digital copies of the books I do have, right? Or what I should say, the parts of the book, my PC that I have. Um, so I'm just going to start with like key books in my collection, and this is definitely one of them. It's my oldest copy of Action Comics, and this is from 19, I think 53 is when this was published, or 55 maybe. And this is just sort of a teaser. I think this is what I'm going to come back with next week. So we'll cover Action Comics 244 in detail, but what we're doing is essentially just kind of reading the comic book together. Oh, here we are. It's 1958, from September 1958. Charles Atlas was cut, man. And he was the quite the look at that six pack. Got those lats, man. There's no airbrushing there. That's A grade animation there, right there. I don't know. Um, but yeah, we're gonna like kind of get into the book, and I'm just gonna kind of read stuff, read the book. And what's nice about the Action Comics is they've got like other like stuff. It's a collection of like different stories and whatnot. But we're not gonna read stuff like Congo Bill or Shorty or any of that stuff. We're gonna keep it like we don't care about Casey the cop and all that. What we do care about is the action in Action Comics here, and that's where we're gonna kind of focus on. So I know I'm kind of flipping through it, but this is kind of what it would sound like. Superman. What if Superman were not around to patrol Metropolis and the world for crime and danger? What would it be like on Earth without the Man of Steel on the job? Everyone finds out one incredible day when Superman mysteriously becomes an undersea exile and abandons the upper world. For what incredible reason does the Man of Steel patrol underwater only? In the Super Merman of the Sea. And so we just kind of go through the book and see what happens. So that's kind of what we're going to do moving forward. It's either going to be as boring as hell, or it's going to be a super cool. It's going to be a super cool read. So hopefully you guys are ready for that. Okay. Oh, really? They had those submarines like that you could play in, huh? Oh, he built one out of plywood? Get out of here. I gotta do stuff like that for my kid. I just so feel like that would be a cool thing to have outside to just play with. If like a wooden submarine they could just climb on and go into and all that. That's great. Yeah. Hopefully you guys weren't doing some naughty stuff in this yeah, kind of like a gray man read, I guess, with the digital book. I just feel like just the visuals alone, I think, are compelling because look at this great artwork here, right? And you get a sense of like who the character was from this period, September 1958, right? And obviously, hey, why is Superman patrolling the sea? We're all curious, right? Why is he the super merman now? And so just kind of going through this book, I think will be just kind of cool to cover. So that's something we want to just kind of start off next week. Um, and we'll see where that goes. Maybe, who knows how much it'll hold my interest, but I definitely think it's a great way to kind of piece through my collection. So, yeah. All right. Well, I'm having my back's tightening up, so I'm just gonna end the stream here. But Ron, Tyler, thanks for hanging out with me. We'll see you guys in the next one, and have a great weekend, guys. Peace out. Take care of yourselves.